is what it is.
Good evening. The March 9th, 2023 board meeting of the Charter Review Committee is now called to order. We'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. I've had a chance to work and develop an agenda, which all the board members received prior to this meeting. Our meetings would generally start with comments from the chair and the vice chair, and then we'll proceed through the agenda as written. I'm going to make a few brief comments. We have two new members on the board today. Beverly Weinberg.
Weinsberg,
Very
close.
close. From District 5, and Chuck O'Neill
No,
from
District 2.
District
Christine
2.
Moore.
And District 5 appointee is Chuck O'Neill. District 6 appointee is Cornita Riley. Now, at our last meeting, each board member gave a brief synopsis of their background, and we said we would do that again this meeting. So if we can give a short, brief introduction of each member, especially the new members, we'll be ready to proceed. Starting with Mr. Batson.
In conclusion,
Microphone.
my name is Dick Batchler. I own a business development company and been in the community for 60 years now, almost as long as Lee. But been involved in the community, and it's going to be my pleasure to work with everyone here. Thank you.
Good evening. Angel de la Portilla. I own a government relations consulting firm called Central Florida Strategies. I've lived in Orange County for 33 years, and this is my third time serving on the Charter Review Commission.
My name is Beverly Weinsberg. Everybody calls me Bev. I'm an Orlando native. I grew up in an Orange Grove at Silver Star and 441. I went to the University of Florida and Edgewater High School, so you can't get me more Orlando than the average bear. I'm very happy to be here. I had an advertising agency for 40 years here in Central Florida that did food, beverage, hospitality, and public education. That's how I became so interested in the government and serving on boards. So now that I'm retired, semi-retired, I still do a little. I like to serve on boards.
Good evening. My name is Mark Arias. I can't say that I'm native, but I've been here over 50 years, and I grew up in Union Park playing baseball. So
There you go.
I feel
We're
like
good.
a native. Yeah, I feel like a native. I'm a local attorney, been an attorney for 32 years, and my practice is here in Orlando. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dottie Wynn. I was born and raised here, but I left to go to D.C. to be a bureaucrat, and I came back. And I've been on Charter Review for 3 or 4 times, and I enjoy public service, and I have a consulting firm, and I help put out fires and help politicians win elections.
Very good. I'm Homer Hardage, former Orange County Commissioner, and I will be serving as your chair. I've been doing community service since the late 60s, early 70s. I've served as chairman of the Planning and Zoning Commission, chairman of the Board of Zoning Adjustment, and as vice chair of the Orange County Commission under Mel Martinez and Rich Crowdy. So I'm honored to be your chair. Thank you.
Yes, I'm Lee Shire, and I'm a former county commissioner also, and a number of advisory boards that I've served on over the last 35 years, including state and county. And my business is real estate, developer, and an individual who is very concerned about the growth in the community, especially affordable housing. I developed about 5,000 units over the years, and I feel that we really need to pay some attention to that area. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Eric Grimmer. In my daytime, I'm an attorney for the Social Security Administration, but I'm a housing and transportation community advocate. I'm a lead member for Orlando YIMBY. We focus on housing abundance in Orange County to solve affordability issues, but also growth in our job centers and along our urban core with public transportation options, walkable and bikeable neighborhoods, that sort of thing. Also, big believer in micromobility. I'm a bike user. I recently started a bike and pedestrian safety advocacy group that focuses on Avalon Park, which is where I reside. So, yeah, I'm going to be focused in on a lot of those kinds of issues here. Looking forward to working with everybody.
My name's Rishi Baga. I'm an attorney. I'm a small business owner on the east side of town. I lived here since 1992 when I was 10 years old, and for the most part, I've been, I guess, not quite a native, but pretty darn close. I went to Cypress Creek High School, UCF, and other than a stint in D.C. for law school, and then I was a prosecutor down in Miami. I've been a proud member of this community ever since. I'm thrilled to be here.
My name's Chuck O'Neill. I'm not a lawyer. I guess we're starting to get into a minority here. We moved here in 1961. I grew up in Winter Park and went to Trinity Prep and then on to Duke University. Moved back here. I've been involved in community service with the League of Women Voters. I was the first vice president, male first vice president of the League of Women Voters of Florida. And I have a little environmental organization that we've done some interesting things that maybe we can talk about as we go along.
Eugene Staccato. I've been here for 45 years, so went to Winter Park High, UCF, worked over at NASA as a software engineer for my career for 30 years, retired, and I've been an activist talking at the dais over here for the last 30-some years. I think Homer has been spoken from me on that side. And I've always tried to advocate for good growth management design and trying to design places that people can afford, and that's the housing issues that we're seeing now. And I am a legal member of Women Too, women voters. So, thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alicia Adamson Prophet. I am an attorney. I am not from Orlando, but I have been a small business owner in Orlando since 2010. I have a law firm that does criminal defense, immigration, and family law. I also do some legal analyst. I'm the legal analyst for West 2 News. And the most difficult job is I am a mother of a 5-year-old, 3-year-old, and a 1-year-old. Those are my bosses. They're amazing. They're probably watching with my husband at home. This is my first time on the Charter Review Commission. It is an honor and a pleasure to serve. I'm glad I have my new family here, so I'm really excited about all the work we're going to do. So, woohoo!
Good evening. My name is Cornita Riley. I am a native Floridian, originally from St. Petersburg, Florida. Over 40 years of experience in the criminal justice system. Last 19 years in Orange County government, actually. Retired in 2018 as Chief of Corrections over on 33rd Street. I also have a consulting firm, and I love serving our community in ways that can help make a significant difference. It is also my first time on the CRC, and I'm very pleased to be engaged again with my Orange County family. Thank you.
Thank you all. And just a few brief chairman comments, and mostly they're just housekeeping comments. I just want to first remind everyone that we're being watched all around the world on Orange TV. So as you speak, please speak into the mic for the clerk and for the general public. I'm going to take just a second to introduce our administrative assistant. We discussed her employment quite a bit last week and found out she was already employed. But I've had a chance to meet with her, and she's going to be a great asset to us. I want to ask Jessica Voppel, if she'll please stand. She works for the board. Thank you all. You all have had some training on the Q box. We'll be using the Q box nearly exclusively. Now, we're using Robert's rules, but we may from time to time use a verified version of Robert's rules. So if you're not recognized and you've hit your box, I mean, don't yell out all the time, but you're free to make sure that I take a look and make sure you've been recognized. As we go through our meetings, there may be lengthy discussions from board members. I'm a believer in members being able to call for questions. If you call for questions, we will immediately call for a vote on the question. If the vote fails, we'll continue discussion. If the vote passed, then we will immediately vote on the motion that's on the floor. Everyone should have received a copy of the financial disclosure forms by now. I just want to encourage you to please turn those in. When I finish, we'll have legal staff answer one of the tough questions that came up last week, and that was whether or not we'd be able to respond by video and be able to make comments via video. I'll have staff address that before we start our meeting. During public comments, everyone that's come to the meeting to speak will be allowed to speak. Speakers will be allowed 3 minutes for their presentation. If there's a large group of people speaking on the same subject, they will be allowed to pass their time on to a major speaker. We do ask that everyone that's passing their time on to another speaker that they fill out a card to speak. Now, that is not a county regulation, so if you don't fill out a card to speak and you want to pass time to someone, you will still be allowed to do that. But for the records, we do ask everyone that would like to speak to please fill out a speaker's card. And just a final comment, this board, even though it's established by the county charter, we are independent from the Board of County Commissioners. We are here for just one purpose, and that is to serve the voters of Orange County. I've had a chance to work with staff to build a list of speakers that will come before our committee over the next however many months we meet, but I won't take liberty of building that list out myself. So if there's some of you that would like someone in particular to speak before the board, if you provide that name to Jessica, then we'll do our best to get that person here. I have invited Mayor Demings to be our first speaker, and he has accepted my invitation. He will be the exclusive speaker at our next meeting. From time to time, you'll see me call upon the assistant deputy clerk, Jennifer, to make comments or to assist me in case I get off track or if I can't remember something, so I'll ask them for assistance. We also have legal staff here from the county for this meeting. We've had a procurement meeting, which we'll discuss later. And at that point, the procurement committee, which we elected last meeting, will select our own attorney, and that attorney will represent this board and will assist us. But today we'll be represented by a county attorney, and who is that? Who is the county? Thank you. David Berman. Okay, and my comments will end by asking Mr. Berman if he'll come and just discuss briefly the procedures, if any, for doing video conferencing and video responses.
Good evening, Commissioners. A question came up at the last meeting as far as being able to attend meetings virtually. I prepared some brief comments, and these come directly from the Government in the Sunshine Manual, the 2022 edition. So as far as the authorization to conduct and participate in public meetings via telephone, video conferencing, or other electronic media, the Attorney General has advised that if a quorum is required to conduct official business, boards may only conduct meetings by teleconferencing or other technological means if they are authorized to do so by law, or the in-person requirement for constituting quorum is lawfully suspended during a state of emergency. Some of you may know that Governor DeSantis issued an executive order in 2020. It was Order 2052 that declared a state of emergency. Order 2069 was the order that waived the in-person quorum requirement. That order expired, and the total order 2052 expired in June of 2021. As to local boards, as opposed to state boards, the Attorney General has noted that the authorization by statute under Chapter 120, which allows conducting meetings entirely through the use of electronic media technology, applies only to state agencies. Thus, unless the in-person requirement to constitute a quorum has been waived by law, which has not been in this case, or lawfully suspended by an emergency order, quorum of the board must be physically present. However, If a quorum of a local board is physically present, in this case, it would be 8 of the 15 members physically present, the participation of an absent member by telephone conference or other interactive electronic technology is permissible when such absence is due to extraordinary circumstances, such as illness. Whether the absence of a member is due to a scheduling conflict constitutes such a circumstance is a determination that must be made by the board. In other words, the cases that have been cited in the Government in the Sunshine Manual were a severe illness and a physical disability that impaired the ability of the member to attend the meeting. These should be exigent circumstances. Otherwise, it is considered or encouraged that there is in-person participation at these meetings. Are there any questions?
What about the committee meetings? This is
If you don't mind, please use your practice.
Sorry. Did you see it?
No. Yes. You're
So
recognized.
I believe
any
the question was with regard to committee meetings, subcommittee
Yes.
meetings. Yes, those would also fall under the same sunshine law requirements, which would be the in-person meetings.
Any
No
other
further
questions or
questions?
comments?
Turn it back over to the chair.
Thank you. We'll now, I've structured the agenda to have comments from the vice chair as well. We'll now hear comments from Vice Chair Shower.
No comments, Mr. Chairman.
We love you more. I haven't received any cards for speakers. Are there any cards? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to make a comment to the board? We love them as well. This is off to a great start. So it must be my great leadership abilities. We'll see. Today. We'll now move to approval of our minutes from the prior meeting.
So moved.
I so move.
It was moved by Vice Chair Shara, seconded by Member Nguyen. All in favor of the motion? Any questions first? Comments? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, signify by aye.
Aye.
It's so moved. I've had a chance to review the CRC budget, and I instructed staff to send each of you a copy of the budget. Have you each received a copy?
Yes.
Okay, this budget has been approved by the Board of County Commissioners. If we have any comments, now would be the time to make them, and then we would provide them to the board and take their directions. Any comments on the budget?
Yes.
Okay, Board Member Nguyen?
No, that wasn't me.
You
Okay.
pushed the green.
Board Member O'Neill?
Yes, I do have a comment. On the line item for legal services, that $45,000, the council that's chosen, is that on an hourly basis, or is it a lump sum basis? How is that determined?
I'll have to ask staff to address that.
Thank you, Chair. The original contract does have a base amount. Can you hear me? Sorry. The original contract does have a base amount, but the general counsel will bill hourly.
So, excuse me, is it like a retainer of $45,000 and he's billing against the $45,000?
I'd be happy to help. So typically in that original contract, it will have a base amount. So the firm will provide the estimated total cost they feel they will need to carry out the services, and that will include what their firm's hourly rate is. So exactly at that point, they'll bill at their hourly rate, and it would come against that total base contract price amount.
Okay, just to clarify, Mr. Chair, the committee makes a recommendation to the full commission on which attorney to use, and then the full commission votes to approve that person?
On the budget?
No, on the legal staff,
we have a procurement committee that was elected at our prior meeting, and that procurement committee has gone through training with the county staff, and now we'll sit for a procurement meeting where we will select representation. And we'll discuss that later in our agenda and have further details on that.
Okay.
But this board, if your question is who selects the attorney, this board selects the attorney. The attorney works for us exclusively.
The board, all 15 of us vote on that then?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, just a little clarification. The procurement committee, which is made up of three of our board members, will select an attorney. And then we will bring that attorney back to the board, and this board will vote to approve or disapprove of our recommendation. Now, I'm going to ask staff for a little bit of assistance there because the procurement process is a little bit more administrative than just us voting on it. So I'm going to ask staff to speak on that just a little bit on the exact procedure. But the final vote will be up to this board. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And I think that the follow-up question is if we vote no for our selection, what happens? I don't anticipate that, but it could happen.
I would want to look into that with procurement to make sure that we give you accurate information. If the firm that the procurement committee selected brought back to this full commission, if the full commission decided no, I'd want to get further clarification from procurement what that process would look like.
Can I offer, excuse me, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Callen first.
A couple of questions. I would, generally speaking, in my experience with public agencies and hiring legal counsel, is they'll not just bring back one, but they'll bring back maybe 2 or 3 for the board to vote on. And I would contemplate having more than one choice to vote on. But that's just a comment. The other comment I have, Mr. Chair, is I don't know what they spent on legal counsel last time, but $45,000 for about a 14-month window appears a little light. And some of the other expenses are holding public meetings. I don't know how we're going to do the public meetings and allocate costs and advertising, but the budget overall looks a little light. It doesn't look like it's heavy enough. I could see a budget twice the size.
Board Member Nguyen?
Yes, sir. To follow up on Mr. Callen's question, we're going to have a lot of meetings outside of this area, and oftentimes we run 3-4 hours a night, and we are having 6 or 7 or 8 meetings. And then we have to come back in here and have our meetings, and the council has to be with us all the time. Plus, he has to review a lot of information that we send to him.
Or she.
Or she, oh, thank you. He or she. We send to them. So, as Mr. Callen has mentioned, I think $45,000 is low with the going rate of good attorneys. And the last times we have had excellent attorneys that I've been on this board. So what happens if the $45,000 is used? How and when will it be replenished? And do we get an opportunity to approve the additional budget?
Chair, if I may. The budget that you see here in front of you, it's just for fiscal year '23. So that's just for the budget that'll take us through the end of September of 2023.
Oh.
And then there will be a new budget for fiscal year '24.
Okay, thank you.
I see Member Sicardo.
I just want to add, the last time we did, we had really good counsel, but it was tough to get someone. So, the money might be an issue, I don't know. But we do utilize counsel a lot, as you all know. So all the meetings are attended by that individual. So it's a time-consuming business.
Sometimes 2 people come from the organization of the lawyers. Sometimes they need an assistant. So the assistant has to use part of that $45,000. So that might not even be enough once we get going to our meetings and the length of time and the information that he must give us a direction, because we don't want to make a mistake.
I'm going to ask staff to give us some direction on this. It's my understanding that the Board of County Commissioners has already voted on this budget for our board. It's also my understanding that this is only for 2023, and there will be another allocation for 2024.
That's correct.
So I don't think we have we of course have the authority to ask the board for more money, but I'm not sure we have the authority to reject the county's budget.
No, I'm not saying reject it. I'm just putting it out.
I'm just not sure.
Several of us have been on charter review before. And the last couple of times, really the last time, we were at one meeting until 11:45 night. And that was a lot of people talking. And then some other times, that if we go in the field, most often we don't leave there until 9 or 9:30 or maybe 10 o'clock. And the attorney must sit there and listen. Plus, he has to guide us on some of the topics that comes up from the citizens. So I'm not saying go against it. I'm just asking, what do we do if, in fact, that budget needs to be increased?
Oh, okay, thank you. We can get direction on that. But I think one of the questions I have is, what was the budget for the last CRC board?
We had a feeling that you might ask that. Let me take a look here. Chair, are you talking specifically for legal services? What was expended?
Legal services, yes.
So for legal services for the 2020 cycle, so that included fiscal year 18-19 and then 19 and 20, it was approximately $103,000 that was expended for legal services.
How much for each year?
For fiscal year 18-19, it was approximately $28,000, excuse me. And for fiscal year 19-20, it was the 103. It was $103,000.
The next question is actually more difficult. So it seems like the budget went down.
It went up for legal services.
Well, I'm looking at this. It says what, 40? 45,000. So you were expecting it would be twice that?
Possibly. The 45,000 that is budgeted currently for this fiscal year, that actually was increased based upon the expended amount at this time during the 2020 cycle. So that 45,000 that you see for this current fiscal year, we actually did base that off of legal services billing at this time during the 2020 cycle.
So in other words, this budget is comparable to the prior year's budget.
That is correct.
Any further questions?
Yes.
Board Member Alicia Prophet?
She answered it. It was really, was that the money that was budgeted or that was actually spent?
Money that was actually spent.
Okay. And then you said that this 45 is coming from that projection from what you spent last year?
Exactly, that projection.
Board Member La Patilla?
To try to answer the question on the procurement process, because I've dealt with county procurement before, the procurement committee will rank the firms, 1, 2, 3, 4, however come in. If you cannot negotiate with number 1, then you negotiate with number 2, and so on until you enter into an agreement with the law firm. So.
Correct. Board Chair, Vice Chair Shara?
Yes, I'd like to know, it was suggested at the last meeting that there was the county commission put a $100,000 cap on the budget for this commission. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, when was that?
The last meeting, somebody made a comment that the Board of County Commissioners gave us $100,000, up to $100,000, without us going back to the county commission for additional funds. Is that correct?
So that is in regards to general counsel. And
No, I'm talking about the overall budget.
I do not recall that. I recall the 100,000 conversation being in regards to general counsel, the RFP, and how much that came in at.
Just one comment on that. I believe the conversation was, we were discussing at what point do we have to go back to the Board of County Commissioners for an approval on, no. We were discussing whether or not we have to go back to the Board of County Commissioners for an approval on our procurement selection. And I believe that the answer was, if the line item is under $100,000, it does not have to go back to the Board of County Commissioners. And this is below $100,000, so we would make that decision on our own. We can hire our own attorney without going back to the Board of County Commissioners. I'm not sure. We'll have to ask staff to get clarification on that and bring it back to us at the next meeting.
I think this, Mr. Chair, I think this will rate, this is just an acknowledgement of us today of the budget.
Correct.
And I just want to make clear on the record tonight that I think overall what's being presented is a little low, and that whenever we make a selection for council, we may have to, at the same time, work with county staff to make sure the budgetary numbers are there for the full term of the attorney's contract. So
Okay.
that's something to be handled later down the road, but I just wanted to make sure that no impression to the county staff that we're okay with the size of the budget at this point.
If there are no further comments, thank you, Mr. Callen. If there are no further comments, our task here today is to acknowledge that we received the budget. So is there a motion to acknowledge that we have received the budget?
So motion.
Second.
Second. Motion made by Board Member Aries.
Second.
Seconded by Eugene. Any questions, discussions? Seeing none, the vote, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
The vote carries unanimously. At our last meeting, we had a lengthy discussion about the time of our future meetings, and we decided that it would be 6 o'clock. And we decided on what day of the month it would be. So when I met with staff to discuss the layout of the budget for for the rest of this year and next year, there were a couple of dates that were in conflict. So I'm going to ask our administrative assistant, Jessica, if she will give us a brief explanation of those dates and share with us the dates that are in conflict, and discuss how we suggest we handle that.
Thank you, Chair. So the two dates that the Chair is referring to, it was November 20th of 2023 and December 18th of 2023. And because those dates fell so close to the holidays, we reached out to communications, and for the November 20th date, there are two dates that this chambers is available. It's either November 9th at 6 p.m. or Friday, November 17th at 6 p.m. And then, Chair, would you like for me to go through all of the dates right now or take it up one by one?
I think the first question is, do any board members have any standing conflicts with those dates?
Excuse me. It was the 9th and the
It was Thursday, November 9th or Friday, November 17th.
Board Member Griner?
Thank you, Chair.
Bremer.
Yes.
Bremer.
I don't personally have a conflict with those days. I just wanted to point out that I believe Friday, November 10th is Veterans Day.
It was
Thursday.
Thursday, November
Thursday,
9th.
Friday is Veterans Day, just in case people take that 3-day weekend already and people take a little vacation or something. I don't personally have that conflict, but I just want to throw that out there just in case some other board member or members of the public might, take a long weekend.
Thank you, Vice Chair Shira.
Yes, you had mentioned that there are some other changes that might be made.
There are, so
How many are there?
In two others.
Two others?
One in December and then one in June of 2024.
What I would, since I don't have my calendar there with me, I'm sure some of the others might have their calendars. Since it is in November, we probably give us the dates, send us the dates that are available, and then we can bring it up at the next meeting. I'd give give everybody an opportunity to check their schedules.
We can actually give you those dates now.
Okay?
And it is, so in lieu of the December 18th date, there was only one date in December available, and that's Thursday, December 14th, 2023, at 6 p.m. And then again, for your last meeting in June of 2024, that third Monday of the month fell after qualifying. So Chambers is available Thursday, June 13th of 2024 at 6 p.m.
What was the December 18th? Where'd you move that to?
Thursday, December 14th.
December 14th, okay. Okay.
Any further questions?
I had a question. On the dates that we have 2 days, I'm sorry, I'll hit the little button. How's that going to be decided, which day? Are we going to do like a query on everyone, or in November we have two options? Are we going to make a decision tonight, or just?
Could you speak into the microphone?
Oh,
We discussed that extensively, and we, myself along with staff came to the conclusion that it was going to be nearly impossible to get a date that was going to suit everybody's calendar. So it's inevitable that whatever date we choose is going to conflict with something, but because of the way I like to run meetings and give everybody a chance to discuss how this whole process fits in with their life and their schedules, I wanted to give the board an opportunity to look at the future schedule, because I had the opportunity to just select days and present them to the board. So I think my recommendation, we have two more people that would like to speak, but my recommendation would be that we accept these dates, and as we go forward into October, we can decide if we need to modify the dates. That would be my recommendation, that we accept these dates.
Sounds good.
We have Board Member Riley.
I just wanted to indicate that November 17th, I know I won't be present because I have another engagement with the board that I serve on in Jacksonville. But I concur with your recommendation that as we go forward and get closer to that date, certainly some schedules are subject to some other changes.
Yes.
So I think that's a good choice.
Thank you, Board Member Staccato. Board Member Alicia Prophet.
I just wanted to make a motion. Is it appropriate time?
Appropriate.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we move the 11/20/23 meeting to 11/9/23, and then also the 12/18/23 meeting to 12/14/23, and the June meeting to June 13th of 24.
Second.
Who was the seconder?
De La Portilla.
We have a motion and a second. The clerk has both. Any discussion?
I'd like to discuss.
Discussion?
Yes. Did you not see?
Yes, I see. Okay.
So at the last meeting, if I recall, Thursday was an option instead of Mondays, correct?
For a consecutive monthly date, yes, that's right.
Right, so an option would be instead of doing them on Mondays like we decided last time, maybe we can just switch it to Thursday, which is what I think, kind of what staff was pushing at the last meeting. Just a suggestion. You know what did I make myself clear?
Yeah, let's go back to the original date.
I think at the last meeting, you had offered Mondays or Thursdays, but you were preferring Thursdays. I just looked at the dates. All the dates that are available are Thursday dates. So I'm assuming that you checked the calendars ahead of time, and Thursdays were the dates that they wanted us to really pick. But we ended up picking Monday, I remember. So if it's easier, we could just pick the Thursday dates, which is what they wanted, or do what Alicia asked. And this is discussion, so I was just bringing it to the board's attention. If you leave it on Monday, it's fine with me. I was just bringing it up.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
And Chair, if I may, before it goes any further, I would be happy to look into that if it would be your desire. It's just at this point, it's County Communications that maintains the calendar for the chambers, and I don't know if that Thursday is available any longer. I could look into it, but I don't know if it's available any longer.
My comment was strictly a comment. It was not a suggestion to move it. It was just to bring it to the discussion. I can pretend I never said it. If you like.
I think,
Can I
just to tell you what I'm thinking
go back
about.
2 minutes and pretend that I didn't say any of that.
Yeah, like go back in time. What my hesitancy is on that is I remember the lengthy discussion we had at our last meeting about the dates, and I just don't want to go and repeat that unless we have to.
I understand.
Now, if you all want to repeat that, I'll be more than happy to do another 30 minutes on the dates.
Mr. Chairman, I call
We're still
a
in
question.
discussion. We have, okay, I think we can pass on calling the question. Everybody's in favor of calling the questions. Question has been called, and it looks like it's unanimous. So we'll have a vote on the motion to accept the alternate dates. We have a motion, we need a second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Clerk has it for the records. Also under, let me see, did I miss something? No. I said in my introduction that I was starting to invite people to speak, but I've asked staff to extend that same opportunity to each of you. If you have someone or an organization that you think could add to this body, especially if it's someone that's not a lawyer, doctor, potentate, or elected official. I would be interested in that. Previous boards have made sure they invited all the mayors, all the county officials, county commissioners, and so forth. But if we could change the tenor this year just a little bit and get someone in the community who may have an interest in this process and make an effort to invite them. I think just for starters, the chairman of both the two major parties in Orange County would be an interesting addition. I think
Repeat what you said, the chairman of what?
the chairman of both political parties might be a good addition. UCF, one of the largest universities in the country, they have a political science department. Maybe there's a student there that's doing a study on county charters and county government. I think that would be a great opportunity. But I don't think I have all the ideas on that, so I encourage you to help us build this board out. The county has been doing this for years, every 4 years, and we're doing the same thing over and over and over and over again. And there's an explanation of that process. If you're doing the same thing over and over and over again and getting the same results, I won't explain what that means, but we all know. So I just encourage you to spend some time thinking about what organizations or individuals could add to this process and submit that to Jessica. And I would ask you to submit that prior to our next board meeting. And then I would do everything I can to invite them. We've had great success with my first invitation. Getting the mayor to change his schedule to come to our meeting was a major accomplishment. And I did that so that we could get some direction as to what he sees as things that could possibly change or stay the same. And I'm sure he'll do that. This whole meeting is dedicated to him being able to address this board and lay out his vision for the charter. So if everybody's in agreement with that, just kind of nod your head and say we agree with submitting.
Yes.
If not, I'll continue to select myself.
No, I'd like to ask one question.
Yeah.
I know you said no politicians.
No,
but-
I do. I support politicians.
No, I'm talking about just coming,
Politicians.
all politicians coming. But I want to ask, what about Sheriff Mina and the police chief of the city of Orlando? So many things are happening here. Everything you can imagine is going on criminally.
Yes.
So, and also, if we could ask the chief judge of Orange County to come here and talk about her perspective. So many lawyers are here, so maybe a judge should come.
I support all of that. I will just ask you to make those recommendations to
Okay,
Jessica.
but I don't want to make it if everybody does.
No, we agree. I can't think of anybody you could recommend that we would not agree to. But Jessica, can everybody get her contact information? Okay. After the meeting. I just think that's a way to put a different twist on this board.
And
I would just add one final comment. Remember, we're here to discuss the charter. So anyone that we invite should come with the understanding that they're coming to make suggestions about how we leave the charter the way it is or how we change the charter to make it better for the people that we represent. So I don't want us just to be inviting people just to be speaking on a plethora of different issues. They're coming specifically to speak on the charter because that is the only charge that we have. That's the only charge that we have.
And you can all send your recommendations to the Charter 2024 email address, and I'll get them that way.
You're going to have to give that out. We all don't know that.
It's charter2024@occompt.com.
repeat, please?
Charter 2024@OCCOMPT.com.
Okay, thank you. After this process, I may never get to serve on this board again. But I think that's the best way. No disagreement. I did ask staff to give us some kind of focus on what areas that come up in the past to the Charter Review Committee. We do not have to follow the same roadmap, but it is interesting to look back at history to give us some indication of what we're in for as a board. So Jessica, you're going to do that?
I'd be happy to, Chair. So included in your agenda packet were topics that either 2020 CRC members or members of the public, invited guests, had brought forward to the 2020 Commission. This is something that Chair has asked us to track during this cycle as well. So as individuals come and address you all, we'll be recording and capturing what it is they've brought forward. But we thought that this would be a great tool for you all to start with, just to see maybe some of those reoccurring items that come up, cycle after cycle.
Any comments on that? Seeing none.
Mr. Chair, I did punch a minute ago.
Yes,
I wanted to say,
see,
prior to this, that
I'm sorry.
at that website, they were already up, and you can go to it, and it has all the paperwork that we've already done to this point, and it has the charter, and it has a lot of other information there. So any of you that haven't gone to that, you might try it. It will be most edifying.
Okay, thank you. And Board Member, excuse me for missing your cue. Board Member O'Neill.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have an idea that I'd like to discuss. It relates back to what Jessica has presented here as far as what the topics were, and also relates to our expenditure for legal fees. The way it worked last time around, somebody would come, they'd propose an idea, the commission would vote on it. If they voted in favor, they would create a committee, and that committee would meet to discuss that one idea. And at every time that committee met, the attorney for the commission, Charter Review Commission, had to be there. What if we had 3 standing committees of 5 people each, looking over all these ideas? I'm just going to throw out these 3 buckets for standing committee. One standing committee for environmental protection, one for social change, and one for governmental structure. Then somebody comes, proposes an idea, then the chair would assign a committee most appropriate. And that committee,
Sorry.
I feel like breaking into dance here. And that committee would be studying several different ideas at the same time and cross-utilize the time that is spent by the attorney.
I'm sure other members will have some discussion on that. I see my role here basically as to run a meeting and to lead us to some conclusion on things that come before the board, or ideas that come before the board on issues related directly to the charter that we have an opportunity to change or bring to the voters for a vote. So, and also, I'm semi-retired, so I don't like a lot of meetings. But if we have to have a committee, I would rather for it to be related to something that comes up during a public hearing or a problem that we're trying to solve on the charter itself. Like, for instance, if we review the charter and we say this looks like something we can make better, then we may want a standing committee to just try to focus on that one thing. So I think it's a great idea, and it's well placed because we're in discussion for board members. But I think to start it right now might be a little bit early. So if you don't mind holding that suggestion until we get a little bit deeper into the process, I think it might work better. Is that okay?
Certainly.
Okay, Member Callen, thank you.
I agree with the chairman's comments.
I'm going to get it right this time. Eric.
Yes, you can just go with Eric, that's fine. I had a question for staff about the list of things that were considered last time. That first column, I know it says Orange County Charter or Code provision. Now, obviously, we're here to address things that, are dealing with the charter. By filing them under like the code, like by labeling them as a code thing on that first column there, is that like an essentially stating that's like not something that the Charter Commission would really take up because it's really a code suggestion?
Yes. That's
That
what I
is correct.
understood. You were on there. Wasn't that what the deal was?
Thank you.
Okay, we've done just an amazing job of conducting this meeting. We have a little bit of extra time. So if it's okay with the board, this is our first full meeting as a board with all of our members. I think we have one member absent, and we knew she was going to be absent. Tell me who that is.
Member Erica Jackson.
Yes, and she had advised us that she would not make this meeting. And I think she'll be absent for the next meeting, but thereafter she will be on board.
I believe that she will be present for your March 20th meeting.
Okay, very good. So if we could, if it's okay with the board, if there are any additional comments you would like to make concerning issues of discussions that we can bring up in the agenda for future meetings, now would be the time to do that. And following that, we'll call for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, have we discussed the update on the general counsel procurement process?
Okay, we've had a staff meeting. Who's going to give the presentation on that, Jennifer or Jessica?
I would be happy to, Chair. The training, the General Counsel Procurement Training, was conducted on March 6th via WebEx. That WebEx was open to the public. The General Counsel solicitation deadline is actually today, or was today, Thursday, March 9th at 4 p.m. So the Procurement Committee is tentatively scheduled to meet on March 29th at 3 p.m. And that will be in person at the Facilities Management Training Room at 2010 East Michigan Street in Orlando, Florida.
What time?
At 3 p.m.
And that meeting is open to the public and open to board members?
Yes, correct.
Will it be televised?
No. No.
However, even though the board is invited to attend, I think only the persons that you elected to represent you on the procurement committee will be allowed to make presentations.
Correct.
And just so that you know who those people were, everyone that was elected to the procurement committee, please raise your hand. I know it was 3 people. Lee is it? Chair, you were elected to the committee.
I was?
And vice chair. Okay, we will be the ones responsible for speaking. Any other comments on that? Did I miss anything else, Representative Callen? Okay, thank you. Now we'll just brief discussions from board members, and this will be on topics that you would like to see included in future agendas. Now remember, they've given the chair the responsibility of producing an agenda, but we're going to do this as groupthink as much as we can. Okay? Any discussions about what you'd like added to the agenda?
I had a question for the agenda, future agendas. Should we send our suggestions for items at a certain point to the comptroller's office?
That is correct.
Okay.
Or make them here in public, but other than this meeting here, they would go to Jessica.
Okay, and do you have how many days before that we need to get those comments to?
That's a great question, Member Staccardo. So our office, we release the agenda 1 week prior to your meeting. So I would suggest, Chair, perhaps at least 2 weeks in advance so that we have enough time to work with the chair on the agenda and then to distribute it.
Any further questions?
Thank you.
Seeing none, this has been my perfect meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn and a second. Clerk has both. The motion was made by Member Aris and seconded by Member Nguyen. Call the questions. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Question is passed. We stand adjourned.